What's up guys, and welcome to another video covering Pokemon Stars, the rumoured codename for a version of a Pokemon main series game for the Nintendo Switch. Now this news was broken by Eurogamer on the release day of Sun and Moon, the 18th of November, and we haven't talked about it since because of course the games are released and everyone's playing the games. But since the games aren't out in Europe yet, I can't really start doing theory videos and stuff talking about the story because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. So just going to fill in a little slot here, and we're going to have some speculation on Pokemon Stars, because even if you haven't, played Pokemon Sun and Moon yet, there won't be any spoilers in this video for the games. Not like I'm going to tell you exactly what happens in the story. We're just going to talk about what Pokemon Stars might be. So, I have a few different options. The first of these is it could be a straight up Sun and Moon port. Now, the codename apparently is Pokemon Stars, but that does not mean it is one game. It could be 5 games. It's just a code name right now, so they can say, hey, Pokemon Stars, you heard about Pokemon Stars? The games will very likely not be called Pokemon, or the game will very likely not be called Pokemon Stars, because then we would have heard about the exact game name, months before they even revealed it. They will give something a code name, a project a code name, and then obviously they will decide a name in the background, and it won't, become big knowledge to most people. Only the inner circle will know the actual game name, and the rest will refer to it as Project Stars, or Pokemon Stars. So it could be, first up, a Pokemon Sun and Moon port to the Nintendo Switch. So what they would do here is they basically take Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon and convert them. Very simply, just convert them across. Obviously it wouldn't be simple because of course there's a lot of stuff in the background, but take the games, just copy them and paste them into the Nintendo Switch framework, and make it work there. Improve the graphics, you would hope, because it will be a HD console, but apart from that, it will be the same game, the same story, the same Pokemon available, etc. Why would they do this? Well, it would possibly drum up some extra sales for the Nintendo Switch, but it wouldn't be the best option. The reason they might do this is because they say, okay, we're going to make a Pokemon main series game for the Switch, it'll increase sales of the Switch, but it won't take us extra work, because of course we have Sun and Moon, and they're already starting work on the next games in the series, of course, whether that be Eclipse or Generation 4 remakes. They're working on it, okay? So of course, if they were to make a port, it would take effort, or any game for the Switch, it would take effort, it would take resources, and it would slow down the production of the other games. But a port would by far be the easiest, because of course all they have to do is upgrade the graphical engines. They might even be capable of such to begin with, so basically just upgrade the graphics basically and put it over on the Switch, so it would be easy to do. There's no extra stuff to add. It would be the same games. There'd be no sort of planning and brainstorming. There might be sort of minimal stuff like, okay, how do we make the battle screen work on the Switch, for example, because of course we haven't got 2 screens anymore. It will be touchscreen, but it's just how that would work there. We've heard it's going to be touchscreen, it's not announced, of course. So there's that sort of option there, there's that thing, but of course that would not produce as many sales as an original game on the Switch, because of course, let's say 50% of people that have bought Sun and Moon will say, well, I've already played the games, so I can either spend $300, £300 on a whole new console and a bit extra on the games and play the same game again, just with a bit more graphics. 50 people would say, I'm not going to do that, I've played the games, what's the point? The other 50% will say, oh, I can't wait, I'm going to, they're in love with Pokemon basically, and they can't wait to play it in HD and all that stuff, and they will buy it just to have the fun of playing through the games once more. So they will get some sales out of it, but it won't be as much as an original Pokemon game, for example. They'll say, the people that won't buy it will say, well, I'll just wait until they reveal an actual original one, and then I'll buy the Switch when it's a bit cheaper. So that's the reason they might want to do the port. The other options, of course, they do a third game in the Generation 7 series, so of course we didn't have that for Generation 6 for whatever reason they chose, but we did have it for previous generations, Pokemon Emerald, Pokemon Crystal, etc. So they might think, this is a perfect opportunity, we can make the third game for Alola on the Switch. For those people that haven't played, or for those people that have already played Sun and Moon and aren't going to buy a Switch, that's fine, they've experienced Alola. It's not like you're sort of taking it away immediately. They will put it onto the Switch, and it'll be exclusive to the Switch, for example. So the good thing about that is that it'll drum up a lot of sales for the Switch. People who were really excited with Sun and Moon and saw that it was an amazing game decide to buy it and then play it because they know it's not coming out on the 3DS. And then the thing they might do after that is, if they do Generation 4 remakes, they can do them on both the 3DS and the Switch, because then it's not jumping straight from 3DS to Switch in one. You're saying you have the 3DS games for Sun and Moon, that's fine. You also have an extra version if you want to buy the Switch, it's over there. And then if you've got the Switch, you can get it on the Switch there, or you can get it on the 3DS if you want normally. And then obviously in Generation 8 they can switch fully to the Switch. So it'll be a smooth transition, as opposed to maybe doing the whole Generation 7 on the 3DS, and then be like, yeah, we have Pokemon Indigo and Platinum coming out on Nintendo Switch 2020, and then everyone would have to buy a Switch, and by that point the Switch would be fairly, not so near the end of its lifetime, I'd hope not at least, but halfway through, so they might have already lost the sort of ability to drum up a lot of sales with it using a Pokemon main series game. So doing an original third game for Alola on the Pokemon Switch would be good. Now, how that would work, it shouldn't be a different story, it would only make sense. So you'd have an extra story. If it was a true third game, it would focus on the third legendary, which of course we've seen flying about, this mysterious black Pokemon flying about, and it would maybe change up the Alola region slightly. It was actually, it was apparently going to come out like next March, April sort of time, but it's been delayed a bit. So whether that means that they're doing extras to the games, who knows exactly. But I would like to see some changes to the Alola region. It doesn't have to be like a huge overhaul. You have to like, get rid of an island or make an island fall into the ocean. But some changes, some route changes and stuff like that. Just general stuff to make it feel like a new game. Otherwise, you're playing the same game, just maybe in a different order or with a different story, with different characters, basically. So they might want to do something like that. But they could also mainly introduce some extra new Pokemon. So Alolan forms would be the biggest one of that. So maybe introduce some Generation 2 Alolan forms that have come to the Alola region in this time, so maybe the appearance of the Ultra Beasts meant that Pokemon mutated or something like that, I don't know, in between Sun and Moon and this third game. Or they could introduce some more Mega Evolutions, so maybe again Ultra Beasts might have let out some radiation into the environment and new Mega Stones are cropping up, hence new Mega Evolutions, because of course that would be nice to see. Or you could even get some more Generation 7 Pokemon. Not that I think that's going to happen, because it's really weird for them to introduce new Pokemon in the middle of a generation. So I think it would be purely down to Alolan forms and Mega Evolutions if they were to introduce new Pokemon to it. But it would be very interesting indeed if they did anything like that. Because of course, Alolan forms, they could make some more for Generation 1, just to jack off the Gen 1s even more, or they could switch to Generation 2 and sort of, do Gen 1 and 2 with Gen 7, and then if they want to carry on, they could even introduce some Gen 3 Sinnoh forms, Sinodian forms, I don't know how it would be pronounced, in the remakes of Generation 4, if of course they happen. So who knows exactly, but that's the other possibility there. The last one being something else entirely, maybe it's a combination of Sun and Moon, so it's not a new story outright, but it's Sun and Moon, and you have basically all the Pokemon available in it. Solgaleo and Lunala, you get whichever one if you're playing during the day, you get Solgaleo. If you're playing during the night, you get Lunala, and there's ways to sort of change the time if you really wanted to. Be like a combination of two games, so whether they do that or not, I would think probably they would just end up doing Sun and Moon ports, because then they can sell two games, and they get, for people that buy both those games, they get double the profit, whereas if they just do one game, yes, okay, those people won't be able to buy one game, so they won't get as much profit from that. So probably if they're going to do a port, it will be a straight port of Sun and Moon on the Switch. Pokemon Sun and Moon Switch Edition. Whereas I think, hopefully, the more likely one is they do a third game on the Switch, and then, as I mentioned, possibly do Generation 4 remakes on both the Switch and the 3DS to give a nice sort of gentle transition for those that can't necessarily buy the Switch for the third game. They can play the last game in the series in Generation 7 on the on the 3DS, but then they can, if they want to, go for the Switch as well and then move further on like that. So there's a few possibilities on how they could do it. What I want to know is, what do you think? Do you think they're going to be just Sun and Moon ports straight over onto the Switch? Do you think it's going to be a third game, Eclipse, Stars, planets, I don't know, whatever they would call it? Let me know down below, because you can go many different ways with it. And what would you want to see from a third version of the Alola region? If you played the games already, you can let me know. Maybe you were a bit disappointed by the amount of new Pokemon, so you'd like to see a little more Alolan forms, or maybe some Megas introduced. Let me know down below, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button, of course. But this is going to be it for me for today, so I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.